Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. One-of-a-kind opinions, big-name guests, the teams you care about every day. It's the Ron Johnson Show, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Ron Johnson Show, and I'm your host, Ron Johnson. And in today's episode with me, and of course my producer, Sam Ekstrom, we're going to talk playoff basketball, but that's coming up later. Sam, I'm going to bring you in because I want to get your feeling on this. It feels like Christmas week, like Christmas week, your mom, she's out shopping, dad's out shopping, kids are super excited for whatever gifts they've asked for, and they're hoping when they wake up Christmas morning and they go check the tree after mom and dad have had coffee, of course. Don't talk to us after we had our coffee. What is going to be under that tree? Is it going to be a lump of coal? Is it going to be a diamond in the rough? Is it just going to be a Lamborghini? And you're like, this thing is turnkey. I just put the key in. I don't even know how to drive a stick, so I'm not going to give the terminology for driving the Lamborghini. But that's what it feels like right now. We're a week away from the NFL draft. And everybody so originally, Sauce Gardner was this question mark. Now he's like a top 2, top 3 pick in the NFL draft and prospect. Stingley Jr. now because of, and this is the thing about the draft. It's a bell curve, Sam. If one guy jumps, the rest of the guys follow suit, just like money. We'll talk about that later with the receivers in the NFL right now. This is a reactive league. When everybody reacts to one move, so the guy comes off the board that they did not expect, everybody else has to react to it. Sam, in my opinion, when you're thinking about the NFL draft right now and who the Vikings can possibly take, there's so many, and I've done a little bit of my research now. I haven't completely gone into the deep end yet, but I've done a little bit. Stingley Jr. seems like the logical pick, but the problem is right now he's possibly the 5th ranked player in this draft. Why? Because quarterbacks this year are not great. Kirk Cousins would be the best quarterback in this draft if he was on the board. He would be taken first, most likely. Not to say Kirk Cousins is bad. Kirk Cousins is good, of course. But this draft just doesn't have a quarterback like a Trevor Lawrence. I would say if the kid from Alabama who won the Heisman, if he was eligible, maybe he would be a little bit higher and highly garnered. But he's not there. He's young. He won the Heisman as a freshman. So this draft is literally like I have no idea when I unwrap my gifts what I'm going to get. You look at Stingley Jr., you look at Booth Jr., you look at McDuffie, you look at Kaiir Elam. It's so many different guys. You look at Kobe Bryant out of Cincinnati. I just like the name. I just wanted to say the name. But Cincinnati, if you think about Fickle and Ohio State and what they've done, they've added some pieces, Sam. I mean, what is your thoughts right now on this draft?
I feel like defense is the logical way to go for the Vikings. And I think you're probably going to have your pick of either a very good edge or a very good cornerback. And like you said, it's reactive. So it depends on which group of players goes off the board first. If there are 3 cornerbacks gone by number 12, you might have George Karlaftis in your lap. If the edges go earlier, you might get someone like a Stingley fall to number 12. But in the back of my mind, Ron, I keep thinking Jameson Williams could be there at number 12. Imagine that wide receiver room if you added a first-round weapon with that number 12 pick. To me, that would be the way to make your offense top 5 in the league, potentially. They need to improve their offensive production. I think that's the path to playoff success. You get Jameson Williams, that's an instant impact player. Suddenly, Adam Thielen is probably either your wide receiver 2 or 3. Williams could be your 2. That is a deep top 3 at wide receiver.
Yeah, and when you look at the NFL draft and you talk about the Vikings possibly taking a quarterback, the answer is no. Like, if you do, the guy I like that I would give a shot to at least, and he's not a fast guy, can't run at all. It's Carson Strong out of Nevada. He's a guy you can get in that same third, fourth round that you got Kellen Mond. The big difference is this is a kid that they know can throw. This is a kid that threw for about 289 passes or 299 passes, something ridiculous before throwing an interception. So this is a kid that's smart, takes care of the ball. He understands the offense. He's a quick learner. He can Peyton Manning that thing at the line of scrimmage. That's a guy that I could see Kevin O'Connell growing. He's built like Kevin O'Connell. He's 6'5". So he is a Peyton Manning-esque kid. He's a pocket passer. I could see that being an option over Mannion as your backup in the future. If Kirk Cousins is the way to go for the next 2 or 3 years, Carson Strong is an easy opportunity to get a quality backup in one of these third, fourth round picks. And it's going to be the first team to jump. So the first team that jumps and takes either Malik Willis or, somebody else off the board, you look at who they possibly can take. And so when we're getting my offensive guys, I put quarterbacks at the back because I just didn't feel like they mattered. So Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral. You got Sam Howell. No, I don't like Sam Howell there. I don't like Desmond Ridder there. I put Carson Strong over those two. Now, the big difference is one played at North Carolina, the other in Cincinnati. When you're at Nevada, you're not getting as much pub. But think about Nevada's future or past. When you think about a Nate Burleson, same thing. He was in later rounds. If he's at USC or somewhere else, Nate Burleson's a first-round pick probably with that production that he put up in Nevada. And so I just think that this is a draft that the first person to jump up and get Malik Willis, which they're saying it might not be to the late teens or the 20s. If that starts to happen and quarterbacks start to come off and guys are there, I think the Vikings can drop back in 20. Because then, like you're saying, you can get an edge rusher. Now, Deebo Samuels is going to be another one. He's going to be one that's going to question what everybody does. Because now he's asked for a trade at the no return point kind of for his team, because now they need to decide if we're going to trade him, we probably want to get draft capital now so that we can replace him with somebody else and then let him move on. And what team has a high enough pick that's willing to take him, but also what team can use Deebo the way Deebo was used? Now, people are saying maybe the Bears because they let Allen Robinson go. We heard LaVelle Neal talk about that. Could be a suitor, but they had Cordero Patterson and they did not use him properly. So there's so much to this. There's so much going on, so much to unwrap. When you're looking at other guys on this, so you're thinking about the Vikings, you're thinking about the Bears, Lions, and Packers. Other than the Vikings, I see those other two teams. Now, the Lions possibly can go corner too. Now, they're saying maybe Sauce Gardner early. I don't know if I would take him that high. He's not Deion Sanders, in my opinion. But the Packers are probably going to be looking for a receiver too. Deebo Samuel could be their answer, but we already know they gave Aaron Rodgers a ton of money. So what does Deebo want? Probably 126, 150 million? I just don't know who has that money, that cap space, and is willing to take that contract on, but also then give the other team, give the 49ers what they want. For the Vikings fans out there, I saw tweets yesterday. What would you do for the Vikings? And I know it's going to come up later. I have a thought about what I would do for Deebo Samuels. I have a thought. It's going to come up next or later. We'll see. Some point in this show is coming up. But up next, we're going to have a new segment we're going to show you. Common foul, flagrant 1 or flagrant 2. You'll see. Stick around. Next on the Ron Johnson Show. And now on the Ron Johnson Show, we have a new segment. Me and Sam were kicking around the bucket, and we're like, hey, it's basketball season. Common foul, flagrant 1 or flagrant 2. Common foul means I'm okay with it. It's not that big of a deal. Let's play on. Flagrant 1, a little bit of concern. Watch your next steps. But hey, it happens. Now, flagrant 2, you're done. You're out. I don't like it. I'm done with it. It's a terrible idea, terrible move. Do something else. All right, Sam, take it away.
All right. I really like this segment. Why don't we pick up where we left off in the previous segment? Let's talk about the Deebo thing. So
okay.
Deebo wants a trade after 2 seasons in the league. Does this worry you when it comes to Justin Jefferson, that this is going to lead to additional wide receiver empowerment, that Justin Jefferson might get disgruntled. He'll see what Deebo's doing, that he might make either financial demands, trade demands, what have you. Are you concerned about Justin Jefferson?
I am, and this is a flagrant 2 for me. But there's a flagrant 2 where I'm going to go to the monitor. I'm going to go to the monitor. I want to make sure. And this is the reason. Everybody says the right thing at the right time. I like what the Rams are doing with Cooper Kupp. If you look at Cooper Kupp and the Rams, they are telling him, you're worth the money. We're going to get this done. Cooper Kupp saying the right thing. I don't want to hurt anybody. I'm not trying to match anybody. I want this to be a working out, a deal for both of us so we can run it back, win another Super Bowl. I think after going to the review, it's a flagrant 1. Justin Jefferson, I think the Vikings can take that same mentality with Kevin O'Connell. If Mike Zimmer was still here, I'd say flagrant 2 because Zimmer and Jefferson, the offensive guys, just didn't gel. Kevin O'Connell is going to be Justin Jefferson's friend. He's going to be in Justin Jefferson's ear. He's going to be in his side pocket. They're going to be friends like McVay and all his receivers and quarterbacks. So I think it's more of a flagrant 1. Watch your steps. Be careful because it can come back and bite you in the butt. But I think Justin Jefferson is willing to do what it takes to win a championship. I don't know. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, so I got to walk something back. I said 2 years in the league. He's actually been in the league for 3 years, so that changes it for me. So I think it's actually more of a common foul, to be honest with you, because this puts the 49ers actually in, I know this sounds weird, kind of a good spot, because if he plays out this year and says, oh, I'm not going to re-sign with you guys, then he walks for nothing, maybe a compensatory pick. If he's making his intentions clear now before the final year of his contract, now you can get a mother load for him. You can get so much capital or players in return instead of letting him walk for basically nothing. This actually puts the 49ers in kind of a power position. Yes, they lose a really good player. I mean, you want Deebo Samuel on your team, but at least they can get something for him. So many guys will just walk after that first contract.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I do understand that. Justin Jefferson seeing that, though. His agent's seeing that. Like, he's not going to make the same mistakes. However this Deebo Samuel thing pays out, I'm pretty sure Justin Jefferson's on high alert because his name keeps coming up. And we know players search their name on Twitter. All right, what's the next one?
All right. This one's actually about fouls. So Chris Finch has kind of built this habit of leaving Cat and other players in the game when they're in foul trouble, and he rolls the dice. Is that a common foul to you as a coach, or a flagrant 1 or flagrant 2?
So if they win this next game tonight, I'm going to say it's a common foul. But hindsight's 20/20, and I don't have that information. I'm not Dr. Strange. I can't go in and view 15 million different scenarios of karl-Anthony Towns and his fouls. But what I can do is say, I'm going to say flagrant 1. This is why. I think some guys need to just come out. Coaching is feel. We know Chris Finch is early in this thing. So as he goes on, they've given him a contract extension. He's got to get a better feel for when should he take a player out, who can he leave in, who's smart, how is their mental. Karl-Anthony Towns, if he's mentally out of it because he's pissed off at the refs and now he's forcing the issue, it's worse. So I don't agree with leaving him in there. I think the team needs to learn to play a little bit without him sometimes, give him a break, let him get mentally dialed back in, get him on the bench, tell him calm down, tell him shut up, stop talking to the refs, and then get him back in the game. So that's why I'm going to put it on a flagrant 1.
Flagrant 1 is where I was going to go as well. I think you do need him in the game a lot because you don't really have scoring bigs on this team. Like Naz Reid is not really a big scorer. Jared Vanderbilt is not a big scorer. Greg Monroe doesn't play. Like Cat's really the only guy who's going to get you buckets down low. So I get the urgency to leave him in, but also things can unravel with Cat pretty quickly. He can pick up 3 fouls in a minute if he's not in the right mindset.
This thing about the NBA, though, they don't go big man anymore. Like a lot of teams don't post you up. So that's why I think the Warriors found that formula when they had Kevin Durant and they went small ball, where Durant was the biggest guy on the court. And so, and then the Cavs had to match. Every team had to match. Nobody could match it. That's where I think the Timberwolves need to tweak and play around with it a little bit. Just see if you can get 3 minutes out of a small ball lineup. See what happens. If you're knocking down threes, moving the ball, hey, that might be the way to do it. What's next?
Let's stick with Cat. Cat only had 7 shot attempts in game 2. Scored 15 points. Got some points at the line, but only 7 shot attempts from the field. Is that a common foul, flagrant 1 or flagrant 2?
It's flagrant too. He's got to shoot the ball more. I've said that. You look at his power, his size, his strength, not forcing the shot. There's a thing. Quality shots. Get it in the post. Force them to dictate what they want to do with you defensively. Force them to move and do the things they have to do. It was too much standing around. It wasn't what we saw in game one. Hopefully the home energy is going to get them going. But I liked watching the Celtics Nets. If you watch the ball movement of both teams, mainly the Celtics, though. The Nets play too much ISO ball where literally you know who's going to do something because the person that brings the ball up the court, if Kevin Durant's off to the far right, Kyrie is time for him to ISO. If Kyrie walks up and Kevin Durant brings it up and Kyrie goes off to the right, it barely even paying attention, it's going to be ISO Kevin Durant. I know what Steve Nash is doing. He played in a ball game like that or an offense like that where he dictated what happened. The difference was Steve Nash was a passer as well, though. And that's where I think Kyrie and Durant sometimes lack thinking like, hey, every time I'm ISO does not mean I need to shoot. It means I need to create space, get the player on my back. When that second guy helps, now I got to find that second guy. And that second guy has to find a third guy, almost like in hockey with the double assist. You don't get that in the NBA, but they have to do that. I guarantee if the NBA could change and add the double assist, players will be happy to make that second pass if they knew they get some stats for it. But I'd say it's a flagrant 2 because he has to shoot the ball.
Yeah, I think it's a flagrant 1. I think that, he's not been aggressive from beyond the arc, and I don't know why, because on average, he shoots 5 threes a game, makes 2 of them. He's a 40% three-point shooter. Excellent. One of the best on the team. Last 3 games, including the Clippers, he's 2 of 8. Yep. So he's taken 2 or 3 a game. He was 0 for 1 in game 2. I think that's got to be a comfortable shot for him. I know that sometimes he gets that instinct to drive, but he also picks up a lot of offensive fouls. So I wouldn't be afraid for him to shoot it whatsoever. I trust him as a shooter.
Okay. What's next?
All right. There's another Wolves one. Anthony Edwards tells ESPN, quote, "I feel like I'm the best defender in the NBA." Is that statement a common foul, flagrant 1, flagrant 2?
I would say common foul, a silly common foul at that. It's like one of those, like you have no chance of getting the rebound and you just come flying in trying to get a rebound, a la Cat in that game 7 game or play-in 7 game. I get it. Like he's trying to create this persona, let everybody know what he's about. You look at all the two-way players that constantly get talked about right now. Giannis, you got his teammate actually too. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank. Number
Middleton?
21. No, the other one, the guard. Drew Holiday. So you look at Drew Holiday, another two-way. You look at Jimmy Butler, another two-way. There's not a ton of those types where the guy's going to give you production on offense and defense. And I mean, high production, high defensive IQ. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant-esque, where Kobe's going to try to lock you down. He's going to play hard defense. That's where I think Anthony Edwards is trying to get. He's trying to remind people and let people know. But also, if you don't tell people you're a defender, people won't think you're a defender. Like Dennis Rodman let people know, I'm just here to play defense and get rebounds. And that's what his persona became because everybody knew it. He was a hustle guy. Steph Curry, we know what he's about. He's going to shoot the lights out. James Harden, he's going to step back until they call travel. Like Anthony Edwards is creating the Anthony Edwards persona, and I'm for it. That's why it's a common foul. I wouldn't bring it up now just for the simple fact of every time you get cooked in the playoffs, now people like Charles Barkley are going to bring that up and that comment up. And they're going to say, where's that defensive guy? Where's the best defensive guy now? Just like when Carl said he was the best big shooter in the league. Every time he tried to shoot from 3-point, they kept making jokes about it. So I'd say give less bulletin board material and just play ball.
Yeah. Well, also, Patrick Beverley's on your team, dude.
Correct.
I mean, to me, it's a flagrant 2. Kawhi Leonard is in the league. Jimmy Butler's in the league. There's a lot.
Kawhi's in the league, but he's not in the league.
He's not correct. He is not playing on the basketball court. One more. Devin Booker injured in game 2. The Pelicans upset the Suns. I guess the chances of the Suns to get upset in this series, is that a common foul, flagrant 1 or flagrant 2?
If I'm Phoenix fans, if I'm in that area, Arizona, I'm nervous. 2 games out and it's tied, so they can possibly go up 3-1. Now, we know the Suns can still move the ball and shoot well. They have other scores, but Devin Booker is a different beast. He's a different beast. He is a different breed. This kid can shoot, and he's from Michigan. So never forget that. We fill the bucket up in Michigan. That's what we do. Everybody talk about New York is a hotbed and all this stuff. Minnesota's a new hotbed. Michigan, Detroit, we've been getting buckets. Jalen Rose, Rashawn Leonard, Chris Webber, Willie Green, coach for the Pelicans. We've been ballers. We've been about that life. Devin Booker's just another one. Amani Bates out of Memphis. He's got to find a home. Hopefully he comes to Minnesota. But Devin Booker is a different beast. And without him, you lose the fact that somebody that can score 30 in 15 minutes. Like, he can fill up a basket fast with 10 threes. Like, he is lightning quick with the ball. He's smooth. He's a smooth operator. He's fist bumping babies. That's a flagrant 2. I'd be nervous because if you go down 3-1 and he comes back too soon like KD, takes a hard step, because the difference is it feels good when you get massages and you're in a cold tub, but when you got to make that quick movement, you pull it again, you're back out again, and now you got to try to win in a game 7 maybe, or 6 or 7, and close, or even try to just stop getting closed out without Devin Booker. It's a flagrant 2.
Yeah, I think it's a flagrant 1. It's not great that you're going on the road now with a outside chance of falling behind 3-1. That would be cataclysmic, but Zion's not in this. If Zion was coming back for the Pelicans, I would be flagrant 2. But I just think that the Suns are too deep. Chris Paul is a good floor general. I think the Suns will ride this out and win that series.
Yeah, and they're playing the 8th seed, so I get it. Well, up next, the Daily 3. That's 3 minutes, 3 questions. I'm your host, Ron Johnson. That's Sam Ekstrom. We'll be back after this. And now up on the Ron Johnson Show, my favorite, the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. Take it away, Sam.
All right, we've touched on it a couple times. Deebo Samuel wants out of San Francisco. Here's my new question for you, though. Let's say that you're Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, Kevin O'Connell. You're talking things over. You're saying, let's go get this guy. What would you be willing to give up to get Deebo Samuel on your team?
A grilled cheese sandwich. I don't want him. Like, you have to be able to use this guy. Now, hypothetical, if I have to do that and I have to give up something, I'm not giving up Justin Jefferson. I'm not giving up my first-round draft pick. That's the problem with that. If you give up your first-round draft pick, and technically this is where you're at. If there was a receiver on the board that you wanted, then yes, I would say give up the first-round pick for Deebo, and then, and try to keep it at that. Like, everybody's talking about all this extra stuff. Maybe, somebody was like Dalvin Cook in the first-round pick. Maybe, because then you get Deebo as your running back with not Mackenzie Alexander. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Madison. Yeah, Alexander Madison. I knew Alexander was in there. With Alexander Madison, it's your starting running back, and we know he can carry the load. He's gotten you some 100, yard games. But I honestly, I don't want to give anything up. Like, we know it's a new offense, and maybe that's my problem. I'm thinking about the old Vikings offense. This is a new offense, and this is an offense that probably could use a Deebo Samuel. But you can't afford Deebo Samuel. You can't give him the 126 to 150 million that he wants, because he's seen Stephon Diggs and he's seen all these receivers, Devontae Adams, all these guys get paid. Christian Kirk. I mean, come on. Like, you're seeing all these guys get paid, and so Deebo wants to get paid, and San Fran doesn't want to do it because they're trying to figure out, is it Jimmy G? Is it Trey Lance? What are we going to do? They just don't have the money for him. So if I'm the Vikings and I'm Kwesi, I'm not doing it. I don't want them. I don't think it works. I think you can get what you can get out of those 3 receivers. Somebody tried to talk about injury prone, blah, blah. You look at Adam Thielen and Deebo Samuel. They both have missed 11 games since 2019. So you get the same amount. I just think Deebo's injury, one being on the West Coast, as a Vikings person in the Midwest, we don't see that a lot. So we really didn't notice the games Deebo missed. Adams felt like they were gut-wrenching because they were in times where we really needed him to be healthy, and then he was out. And then it was kind of on TV where he tried to come back and get hurt again. So I think that's why we noticed the 11 games Thielen missed. But you can't really look at how to quantify what Deebo could give you without understanding the offense. So that's more of understanding what Kevin O'Connell is trying to do. But again, I go back to the money. I don't want to give up Dalvin Cook. Like, he's a guy that Kevin O'Connell did not have with the Rams. And so now you give a running game to that passing game. I'd say let's go draft a corner. I don't think I want Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I'm actually with you on that for two reasons. Number one, it's implied that if you acquire them in a trade, you are going to pay them. So the
Yep.
money is a huge issue. But then if Deebo is getting paid 150 million and Justin Jefferson needs to get extended in a year or two, he's going to want more than that.
Correct.
So suddenly you are
You got
tied in
300 million for two receivers.
so heavily. And yeah, bye Thielen. I mean, you're not keeping Thielen with that money on the books either. So I
Oh
don't think
yeah.
it, and also isn't
I don't think
he
you
up,
keep Thielen with Deebo. That's the other problem. Like if you bring Deebo in, you probably got to let Thielen go and try to find a team, or maybe you trade him to the 49ers with Deebo. I mean, I don't think that that many receivers can't coexist with that amount of money because Thielen, yes, he renegotiated, but it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, well, also, isn't Deebo upset about how much he was used as a running back? That's part of his value. He was like a top 5 running back and a top 5 wide receiver. But if he doesn't want to get the ball as a running back, well, that also decreases what I think he's worth. So I don't want that
What he's
issue
thinking
either.
was his value was decreased as a receiver because of, he became a gimmick guy, and is there a value on the market for that? And that's where he's trying. I think that's where he was a little bit upset, was if he just play receiver, which he's not thinking straight, because now you are a Swiss Army knife. But if he just play receiver and all those yards were, receiver-esque like Tyreek Hill, then he would get a bigger contract. That I think that's where he's going with it.
Yeah, I hear you. All right. Next topic. So Kyler Murray is, speaking of disgruntled stars, he is still not in great terms with Arizona. It doesn't seem like he's holding out from offseason activities. How will things get resolved with Kyler Murray in Arizona?
I think drafting what he wants, maybe. I don't really know what's going on. I do know, when you lose guys to free agency, Larry Fitzgerald, is not coming back. You look at all the things and pieces he's losing. I think it's like, he's maybe saying, hey, go get Deebo, or go get DK Metcalf. I think he wants a star. Like he wants a guy. And so my guess is he's just not happy. Kind of like Aaron Rodgers. Like he's not happy with what's going on in the front office and some of the moves that are being made. But that's the problem. Like, and again, the NBA, you have a lot more power. When you're LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, you can do whatever you want. Like Jerry West right now is pissed off that Magic Johnson is making him look bad on his new whatever it's called, docu-series, the Winning Time. Yeah. So I mean, NBA players can do that kind of stuff. Football players, you can't really make fun of owners and GMs, and you can't flex your muscle because you're a dime a dozen. And that's where the Cardinals might be like, look, man, we can go get Malik Willis and we can move on from you because my offense is potent. It's legit. I just need a guy. I think Desmond Ridder could fit into that offense with the Cardinals, the way they, keep the guy moving. Now, Kyler Murray definitely created a lot of that with the arm strength, the speed, but he's so tiny. He's so little. Like you can't get the basic. And that's what you saw from the Cardinals, is when it became basic time, like just sit back and throw a slant, sit back, throw a hitch, sit back, throw a deep over. He can't do it. He can't see. Like he doesn't know where the guys are. So he's throwing into dead space, hoping that the guy is there. I don't know how they resolve it besides drafting what he wants, like Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't be surprised, like the Packers trying to make Aaron Rodgers even happier and drafted 2 receivers this year. I think that's or go get Deebo Samuel. Again, you got Aaron Rodgers on a huge contract. I don't think they have the money for Deebo. But yeah, when you look at Kyler Murray, I think it's drafting what he wants. I think it's doing what he wants. And that's up to now the coaches and the GM. Like, do we want to do that? Are we going to cave to this guy? Or are we just going to, say, you know what? Let's go draft a quarterback. And that's what this next week is going to be about. GMs, they're going to have to make decisions, and coaches, and then they got to go from there. And there's some other suitors out there for Trey Lance. Like, or Jimmy G even. The 49ers, don't be surprised because they're sneakily behind the scenes trying to figure out who's our quarterback. And if we can get value now before we lose them to their contracts or free agency, why not do that? So if they know they don't want to keep Trey Lance and they want to extend Jimmy G, or vice versa, Trey Lance is the future and they want to get some for Jimmy G, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets moved as well.
Yeah, I think with Kyler, I think it's just dollar signs. I think this is the start of players wanting to get paid a year earlier.
Yep.
Kyler's obviously got the 5th year option, but I think he wants to get paid after year 3, which is right now. And I think that Arizona will look in the mirror and say, are we going to find a better, more athletic, like more explosive quarterback than this? Probably not, even though he does have limitations with his size. Yep. So I think it resolves with him getting paid.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Daily 3 continues. Who is your favorite to win the NBA Finals at this point after what you've seen in the playoffs so far?
Man, that's a that's a tough one. My quick twitch, and I hate to be a homer, but my quick twitch now with Devin Booker out, or not out, but we don't know how long, the Warriors. Like, I like the way the Warriors are built. The fact that Steph Curry can come off the bench when he has to. They're just getting warmed up. They got hot at the right time, kind of like the North Carolina Tar Heels. You know, as an AFC, they got hot at the right time. They beat Duke twice to get to the championship. They beat Duke in Coach K's final game. They got hot. The Warriors that's where they are. Steph Curry is getting hot at the right time. Jordan Poole is giving them enough, to kind of say, you know what, if Clay can't give it to you or if Draymond can't give it to you, let's do it. And Draymond's kind of playing his role. He's like, look, I got 3 ballers out there now. I got Jordan Poole, I got Clay, and I got Steph. Like Jordan Poole is kind of taking on that, and he's not Kevin Durant, but he's taking on that role as like the third guy, the guy that, you know what, if you're going to worry about Steph, kick it to me. I'm going to knock the shot down. I'm going to get to the lane. And he's having fun. So I kind of say the Warriors because I just don't have faith in the Heat. I think the way that, Jimmy Butler, the way the Heat are playing right now, I do think they can come out the East. Giannis to me has shown vulnerability in like teams forcing him to shoot. Also, teams willing to stand in front and get run over by a freight train because he's out of control when he Euro steps. He almost travels even. Chris Middleton just got hurt with right knee soreness or left knee soreness. I think it was left knee, one of the knee soreness. Like, there's so much to this. The Grizzlies, again, I just don't see the Grizzlies getting past the Warriors or the Suns. I just don't think the Grizzlies have it. I kind of like the Warriors. I think they can win it.
Yeah, I love the Warriors out of the West. I think that's a good call. I kind of like the Celtics, though, to win the whole thing. I don't necessarily trust the Heat as the 1 seed in the East. I've watched the Celtics now against the Nets 2 games. They defend really well.
They do.
And this is a great test for them in round 1 because the Nets are legit. If they can get past the Nets, and it looks like they are now up 2-0 in the series, come from behind win last night, big time. Tatum and Brown late in the game, I trust them completely. They're just they're alpha dogs.
Yeah.
I think that Boston can do it on both ends of the floor. I think that the Celtics are my pick.
Yeah, and they're a quiet 1-2 punch with Brown and Tatum. I mean, Tatum, I watched that game as well, and I thought the Nets had it because they were up big early, and coming into the half, the Celtics start chipping away at it, and you saw the Heat. You saw that they went on a heater, and they came out in the second half, and Tatum was absolutely ridiculous. Like his play, and like you said, it starts with defense, but Al Horford, right in that corner in the perfect spot. When they drive and they're going to crash, Al Horford is a big, outside stretch wing or stretch forward, whatever you want to call them, knocking down threes. Like that's where, and I go back to the Timberwolves, that's what Beasley has to be. He has to be able to be out there in that corner to knock down the three whenever Anthony Edwards or Karl-Anthony Towns is driving and getting double. But yeah, I do like the Celtics, but Celtics Warriors, I think that could be a good one. But yeah, I was hoping the Nets. I do like the 76ers though, but I don't know how many game-winning threes Joel Embiid can hit. So that's why I'm going to go with the Warriors. So I like the Celtics though. So it's going to be an interesting finals. It's early on. There's some good games, but we should have some fun down the stretch. I'm your host, Ron Johnson. I want to thank you guys for joining us today on the Ron Johnson Show. That's Sam Ekstrom, and you can get this on YouTube. Please subscribe or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.